Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe Show, a spin-off of the Be Real Babe podcast. And today, you guys, we are talking about internet insanity, and I have got a couple of really interesting articles that I want to share to you guys today, kind of in the theme, it seems, of this month of child exploitation. I don't know why I'm going down this rabbit hole, but that's the rabbit hole I've been going down lately, and just things that I want to share because I just can't believe how much is out there. And I think the more that we talk about it, the more we can maybe be a bit more aware so that we can protect kids around us, whether that's within our home or within our communities. And I just think this is super important to talk about because it just seems to be on the rise and I don't really understand how and why, but the only thing I can think about is talking about it. And one other thing that as I was reading this and I came across the first instance here, it kind of led me down into the comment section where it was kind of divided, and a lot of people were kind of speaking about how because it's a female teacher and a boy student that it therefore doesn't matter and it's not as bad as if it was the other way around. And I just want to make it clear that that is not correct, and I don't think either is good. And so today I wanted to kind of highlight some of those stories because it seems like the consensus in some of the comment sections was that this doesn't matter as much and it doesn't happen as much, and that's just not true. So if you are into hearing about that, stick around and we'll jump right in. Okay, so now to jump into this, I found a couple articles and I wanted to stream it across Canada and the US because, we got listeners in both, and sorry, there's obviously across the world. I've talked about that a few times. And I just really kind of got annoyed, like I said, in the comment section, reading like, oh, this is probably his dream. He probably didn't say anything because, this is like any guy's dream, a teenage dream. And I just don't think that that's always true. And I think that when that is the public discourse and the thought that survivors of this or victims of this that actually, do feel victimized by this, when they see that rhetoric, I think that confuses them. So I just wanted to put it out there. I don't think that's right. If you don't feel like that's right and you're in that situation, you can feel that way just because some people are saying that that would be their dream. That kind of bothers me because then I feel like it makes it confusing for victims of this to be able to come forward because they're like, oh, you shouldn't care about it because you're a boy and this should be like your dream. What if that kid was gay? You know what I mean? Or like vice versa. And shoe on the other foot. When it happens when it's a man versus a young girl, up in arms, rightfully so. I think we need to feel the same energy on both sides, personally, when it comes to this kind of stuff. So again, wanted to make sure that I'm highlighting this, but I also have one in Canada here that is a male abuser. And because I do want to make sure I'm balanced, but it was just really upsetting to read that in the comment section that, it was kind of 50-50 divided. So the first story here is actually right here in Canada. Nova Scotia RCMP says 52-year-old female teacher faces sex charges. Police say they received a report on March 4th of an alleged sex assault involving a teacher and a minor. They say the teacher and staff member at Maple Grove Education Center in Hebron, Nova Scotia, allegedly had inappropriate contact with a former student in February. The teacher was on leave at the time of the alleged offense and was arrested Tuesday on charges of sexual assault, sexual interference, and sexual exploitation. They say the accused, who remains on leave from work, was released on conditions and is scheduled to appear in Yarmouth Provincial Court on May 12th. Ooh, I should go look into where that... Oh, no, I can't. I will for the next couple episodes. The Mounties say they don't believe there are other victims. This report by the Canadian Press was first published on April 4th, 2025. So not much information on that one. I'll have to go and look and see if I can find more information when that comes out on May 12th. I'll make sure to do kind of a follow-up just to see, because I'm very interested, again, when we're talking about on the other episode, Keeping Up with Canada, when it comes to voting and stuff like that. This is why I think these stories are important, to find out what's actually going on in real life, because when we are paying taxes and we're voting and we're thinking about things that are important to us, we can, obviously this is all in the news, but when it talks about policies and talking about politics, they paint a different picture where you actually go and do a little bit more deep diving into the stories that are happening. Like when we talk about crime, what kind of crime is happening? When we say that we're catching and releasing, or we're not having harder punishments, therefore people are being criminals more or doing bad things, which, I don't know if that's always the case, but let's just say, these things are important to know about. When you have boards put in place, what are they doing to vet these teachers and stuff? This isn't a new thing by any means, but I think it's just maybe more exacerbated. We're hearing about it more because there's more access to information more than there ever has been. So I'm sure this is always happening, and this has always happened. And I do think that things like social media and cell phones and all that probably exacerbated this, even when we think about back in the day when I was a teenager, like you couldn't just like get porn on the internet. That's going to age me. You had to actually go into a store in the back room and you had to usually talk or like buy it, or like there was some ways of buying it, but it wasn't like you can just log into Instagram at this point and it's at your fingertips, right? So things were a lot different. And I think that, the parasocial relationships that individuals can have now, in this realm, in this industry, I feel like it can breed in some ways people pushing past boundaries that maybe they wouldn't have pushed at if they didn't have so much access to these things, right? And if you see with any kind of addiction, you're always wanting more and more and more, right? So when does that online or what you're watching, become not enough that you then do stuff that's inappropriate in your life if you have no one checking you, right? And if people aren't checking these things, then they go unchecked. And especially in the schools and especially in this like teacher child dynamic, I think is so fucking crazy, especially because they're supposed to be like, you're caring for them while their parents aren't there. Like you're supposed to be replacing them, not as parents, but like in their care, and the fact that they trust you and then you probably manipulate them or tell them, they're going to be in trouble, especially at a young age. It's a really fucked up thing. And so I really think that, again, going back to the boards and the schools and like, what are they doing to vet these individuals? I can imagine at some point there's got to be some sort of test that can kind of lead you to believe, even just to watch some of these individuals. Maybe that's too far, but at the same time, like how much does this have to happen, right? So here in Nova Scotia in Canada, female, 52, doesn't really matter if she was on leave. Also find it interesting that a lot of these cases I find they get paid for leave and they still get being paid. Is that like a union thing? It's like crazy. If I like caused a crime, I just don't think I get paid to work. That's just my thoughts, but it must be like a union thing or something that protects you. But let's carry on. Let's go to the other side of Canada here, but another Canadian one. And, I'm going to be balanced. I really wanted to talk about that this happens with female teachers all the time. But I also want to be balanced on the show. I don't want it to be like I'm just against women and the women ones. I just thought that it was kind of crazy that the comments were saying like, oh, it doesn't happen that much and it's not that big a deal. It is. But let's go over to the other side of Canada. Now, BC private school teacher banned 5 years for sexual messages with grade 7 girls. This was published March 19th, 2025. So just recently, the message had sexual innuendo and personally invasive comments according to the ruling. A former grade 7 teacher at West Vancouver private school has been banned from applying to teach for 5 years after being found guilty of professional misconduct. Jeffrey Forden Mooney quit teaching in October 2021, a few months after inappropriate electronic messages with sexual innuendos and personally invasive comments were discovered between him and 4 female students. Back in September 2024, a 3-person panel of BC Teachers Regulation Branch found Mooney guilty of professional misconduct. The school where Mooney taught is not disclosed in the ruling. He counseled the students to keep the messages to themselves while making his own admissions that he knew the communications could get him fired, the panel said in its written decision in 2024. The panel said he failed in his duty to be a role model and that his conduct was a marked departure from what is expected of teachers. Since Mooney relinquished his teaching certificate, the hearing panel cannot cancel, suspend, reprimand, or limit conditions. We are left for determination with the only consequence under S64G, the Act, which is requirement not to reissue any authorizations to teach, reads the panel's decision published March 18th. The commissioner said that an 18 to 24-month ban, but the panel said larger ban for 60 months is warranted. And like, maybe unpopular opinion, but like, why is it I don't know, like, I guess I struggle, and like, you guys tell me what you think, but I understand you went to school to do this and you probably put a lot of time and money into it. And I understand that maybe we don't have that many teachers across the world here, but to then just say like, okay, well, you can't work for X amount of years, which granted, that's probably going to suck because like, if that's all you've done, but to then be able to go back, or like, could you just go to a different province or different country? Like, I don't know. I just feel like this is a little too light, me personally, maybe just because I just think this is a boundary that just absolutely should not be breached whatsoever. You're, like I said, you're not supposed to be a replacement. It's like, you're not a babysitter, but at the same time, like, don't do this stuff to anybody, especially with like sometimes kids' schools, that's like their safety, right? So this really, really bothers me. And like, I don't know, 60 months just doesn't seem enough. I feel like it should be a permanent ban personally, or making sure maybe perhaps that you're with adults. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe strictly in like a college or adult teacher type, I don't even know, like at college, community college, universities, maybe that's, the better way. So it's all consulting adults, not saying that this person couldn't go and do this again. Obviously they can do this wherever, but to be able to then put them in front of like, why would, when you're charged with something, why, well, I guess it isn't really charged, but when something like this happens, why aren't we just removing these people from where they could have abundance amount of other victims? Like, okay, why can't it just be like, okay, well, now you're an adult only teacher. Like, sorry, because, not saying that he couldn't abuse adults, but at least it would be consenting adults and not children. You know what I mean? Or even teenagers, which sometimes I feel like is almost a little bit worse because they're on the brink of being an adult, right? So I feel like they can get coursed a lot more, I guess, depending on who you are. But yeah, I just think that that's not enough. Mooney sent a relentless number of communications to the 4 students, which continued even after the students had stopped replying, and did so after the school had warned him of his lack of boundaries with students. The panel's concerned with the nature of communications which approached grooming, and his clear knowledge of the inappropriateness of the communications when he asked for secrecy from the students so that he would not be fired, stated the decision. Mooney did not appear for the hearing or provide a written submission when invited to do so. So you had time, you had a moment where you could have apologized and said this isn't appropriate, and you're going to do your best in the future that if you're allowed, if everyone forgives, to come back to teaching, that you'll just go with adults so that people are protected and that you're going to take the right steps to get therapy. Like, I think those would be nice things to hear from people like this that will eventually be allowed to go back into these situations, and hopefully going forward, whatever school hires him, if they ever do, hopefully they do their due diligence and look into this, and hopefully maybe again lead him into a path of away from kids. I think personally away from teaching. I feel like if you've breached these boundaries, then you should find another industry. Sorry, that's unfortunate that you spent all this time and money, but if there's not harsh consequences, what are going to stop people? Like, that losing a couple years, 60 months isn't harsh, and that's not going to make an effect. But at the same time, if he could just go somewhere else and be a tutor for a little bit and just wait to go back in, like, who's to say he's not going to reoffend? I don't know. That, I don't mean to say that people can't change, but I feel like we need a little bit more proof and time to prove that changes. And then also maybe why can't we just go to another industry, or again, work with adults? Because clearly you have boundary issues even when you were flagged. And furthermore, to the school, like, I hope things are put in place, and I'm not blaming the school, but I also hope when things like this come up that we take it a little bit more seriously than we do, and start putting more I don't know what the placeholders could be, like just go in and block, like make sure there's a block, like teachers cannot have student numbers or something. Like, I don't know how you do that, but someone smarter than me that makes more money than me in these fields should be able to figure something out. Like, I don't know. I just, like, again, are we doing our best to protect our kids here from teachers, especially with this? Like I said, when I was in school, we had projectors and fax machines and barely had computers. Cell phones were not for messaging. And I think, like I said, things have changed so much where it's like a teacher couldn't just call a student like they can now and hide that. So are we updating our policies in schools to protect kids with this new digital age? I don't know. I don't have kids. I just have cats. But, hearing stories like this make you wonder. And this is creepy. And it's in Vancouver, right? There has been no expression of remorse or indeed of any indication that Mr. Mooney even understood the seriousness of the potential harm to the students. He expressed only his understanding of the serious effect on him and his employment if caught. Right. Great. Both the panel and the commissioner agreed his misconduct is at the serious end of the spectrum when it comes to the duty of a teacher not harming or exploiting students. The penalty must be sufficient weight to act as a general deterrence to other teachers and to maintain the public's confidence in the system, the ruling said. The panel believes Mooney has the effect of harming the reputation of the teaching profession as a whole and that he breached the fundamental duty to his students and the public. Mooney's 5-year ban on teaching will last until February 2030. The panel said he attempted to prompt the female students into sexualized topics, and the sexual innuendo of some sort of the messages raised the specter of grooming. Asking about their crushes and the nature of their other classmates' relationships is highly personal and inappropriate, the panel said. He also used profanity, discussed other staff members with the students, and offered to finish homework for student A. Mooney sent messages to the students via the school's Google Chat education platform and Instagram between June and July 2021. The girls were between 12 and 13 years old in grade 7 at the time. The students were referred to the ruling by aliases A, B, C, and D. Both students A and B were taught by the teacher during the messages. Private messages with student A and the teacher included sexual references and innuendos, comments about that student and other students. One message he sent according to the ruling was, "Oh, okay, but for real, student A, I'll miss you." He also told the student adults are the best because we can drive and drink and buy shit and have sex and do all the fun stuff. And you didn't hear that from me. The teacher ignored his responsibilities to the affected students by communicating with them on a personal matter such as their crushes and their sexual experience, the panel said. In an online message with student B, the teacher used profanity, made comments about other students and staff, and asked her about her crushes. The teacher spoke about a condominium which he allegedly lied about being his and asked the student to keep the message a secret. He lied to student B about the condominium in an obvious attempt to impress her, the panel said. Messages showed the teacher asking who student B had a crush on, to which she responded, "I like myself," and he said, "I like you too." Over Instagram messages, the teacher told student C she was cool and made comments about other students. He also used Instagram to communicate with student D. He used profanity, made comments about other students, and also told her to keep the message to herself. Oof. Yikes. Gross. Many levels of gross there. Again, like I was saying, and these episodes, obviously when I talk about Canada, I want to make sure it's Canada driven, but doesn't mean these things again don't happen here. And the next episode I want to do, or that I'm just going to be doing, which I'm going tonight to a rally here in the Okanagan, and so I'm kind of doing it backwards. I'm doing an Internet Insanity today, but I was actually going to be talking about the ones in Canada and then was going to do the States, but I wanted to switch over and talk about the rally that I'm going to go to tonight on Keeping Up with Canada. So I thought for this one I can split it and bring two, so from one coast to the other, male and female, right here in Canada. Again, now that we're personally going through these election cycles, and as we do in the coming years when we're looking at provincial and municipal governments, these are things I hope you guys look into. And again, equally so in the States. Obviously, I don't know your guys' voting schedule, but I think these are things that are important to look into when politicians or certain governments are saying we're doing this or we're going to do this. Go look at the real stories and see, like, is this important to you? Like, do we have a handle on some of these issues that are important to some people, maybe to not others, but these things are important to me. How teachers are making sure that boundaries are being safe, especially, like I said, in this new age where unfortunately predators go to where there is abundance of things. I am not saying by any means that all teachers are that or anywhere, but you can just see that they're going to go, like, these predators are smart for the most part, right? So they're going to blend in. They're not going to be as some of them are, but some of them can very well blend in, and they could be like they're trying to help. And on the outside, they seem like they're really great, and then turns around that they've been doing this because they're so trustworthy. And I'm not saying all, I'm just saying I wish and I hope that we're doing the right things. And these are just ones that slip through the cracks. But I mean, story after story starts to pile up. And this is just in Canada in the last couple months. 2 stories right there. Easy Google search, you guys. Very easy. And it took 5 minutes to even just find stories here in Canada. So let's go to the third story. We're going to go down to the States. here for this one. And while I was searching and researching the first one that caught me up in this whole topic altogether, I then found this one that actually stopped me in my tracks because I could not believe the headline and that the headline was actually a headline. Yeah, what trapped me this one is just the headline, as you can see here. Cops say teacher arranged group sex with students who wore screen masks and her husband just filed for divorce. 5 boys, one as young as 13, are accusing Brittany Fortenberry, 31, of sexual abuse. So this came out March 24th, 2025. Have a look, see if she looks familiar to you in that area. The husband of Indiana substitute teacher accused of arranging group sex with middle school students while they wore screen masks is filing for divorce. Brittany Fortenberry, 31, is accused of sexually abusing multiple underage boys, according to online court records reviewed by People. According to one of her alleged young victims, the boys had to wear a screen mask and they would all rotate every 15 minutes in sexual encounters that would go on for hours, according to the court documents obtained by Fox 59. What the fuck? In February, her husband, Nicholas Fortenberry, filed for divorce from her, according to online court documents reviewed by People. Earlier in March, 5 victims came forward alleging that Fortenberry had sexually abused them, according to online court records. Prosecutors filed a motion charging her with 10 counts of child molestation, 8 counts of dissemination of matter harmful to a minor, 5 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and 1 count of sexual misconduct with a minor, online court record shows. She had previously been charged in February 3 counts of sexual misconduct, 1 of dissemination of matter harmful to minors, and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor that had previously been filed. It was just like one after, like, this is a bomb here. Following her initial arrest, more students later came forward to report that Fortenberry had also abused them, the district police chief Chris Wright told USA Today on Thursday. As students came forward to discuss that they felt they may have been a victim, we forwarded their information to the Morgan County Sheriff's Department, detective handling the case. Wright said we forwarded this information as soon as we received it. Again, and I'm not trying to be this way because I personally haven't been in this intense of a situation, but anybody out there that's listening, like, if you can find the power within, and I know I'm not going to say it's easy, and I'm not going to say everyone's going to believe you and it's going to be hard, but sometimes truly sharing your story does empower other people, and you might find that you might not be alone in these situations. And it looks like in this situation, a handful of kids came in, and it sounds like a bunch more decided to also, share their truth because they felt probably safer to do so, knowing that they weren't alone. And I imagine it's terrifying, and like, kudos to these kids for standing up, because this is absolutely fucking messed up. And again, what rules? I don't know if this is down to state, so I don't know what rules you guys have there for vetting teachers or substitute teachers, but is it good enough? Is this one that slips through the cracks, or is this something that's actually happening more often than not? Yeah. Fortenberry was employed as a substitute teacher for the Metropolitan School District of Martinsville and was fired on January 9th, 2024, USA Today reports. Before that, she worked at Eminence High School in Morgan County, where she taught several of her alleged victims, court records allege, according to WTHR. She left high school on August 23rd, 2024. It also reports this couple wed on November 11th, 2020, according to TMZ, who was first to report on their divorce. Fortenberry's husband filed for divorce February 21st, 2025, according to online court records. He is seeking temporary custody of the couple's 4-year-old child, TMZ reports. Her trial is scheduled to begin on June 25th. Attorneys for both were not available for immediate comment. A 4-year-old child. You have a 4-year-old child. Not saying that it's not. Hold up. Not saying that a non-parent doing this isn't gross. I'm not saying that. But you would think that somewhere, I guess all criminals, doesn't really matter, but I would hope that most parents that turn into parents immediately kind of get this, I need to take care of kids and protect them, not how can I hurt others? Like, how would she feel if that was her kid? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just absolutely bonkers. That's why that one stopped me in my tracks. Because again, I went to TikTok and I found this original story, and it was of a woman getting arrested, and it seemed very unclear as to why she was getting arrested, and she wasn't quite sure, and the cops were being very elusive. So naturally, it just caught me. I don't know about you guys, but I get caught up on that body cam footage. It's so interesting because obviously I've never been a part of those situations, and you hear stories and stuff, and you see them sometimes when you watch true crime, but like the amount of body cam footage that is out there lately is insane. So I've got myself caught up a few times on TikTok watching them. And this one, I was just so confused as to why this woman was getting arrested. She seemed generally confused as to why she was being arrested. She didn't look drunk. She didn't look anything. Her husband was confused. So it got me. And then she was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, like she must be like really confused of what's going on. This must be terrifying. And then I come to find out that no, she's not, and she knows damn fucking why. And she was freaking out because she knows damn fucking why she was getting arrested. And let's figure out together, why was she freaking out? And that's what led me to all of these stories here today that I brought you here today. So the final pièce de résistance today. Text message released in court revealed Mary Suburban teacher's alleged sexual assault of student. A teacher from a Chicago suburb has been accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old student. Christina Formella, 30, was taken into custody Sunday. She is a special education teacher and a soccer coach at Downers Grove South High School in Downers Grove. An investigation began on Saturday after a boy who was 15 years old at the time went to the police station with his mother to report alleged sexual contact committed by Formella. She was his soccer coach and tutor at the time, according to police. Police believe in December 2023, the boy and Formella were in a classroom for a tutoring session when the alleged sexual abuse began. The student was 15 years old at the time and Formella was 28. According to court documents, the boy had broken a cell phone and his mother purchased a new one for him. She signed into the cloud, and at that time, text messages appeared between her son and a number the mother recognized as being Formella's. In one text exchange, the student and alleged Formella professed their love. Student, I love you so much, Mama. Oh, I'm sorry. Why did that just bother me? Okay. I don't even know if I want to read this. I love you so much, baby. Even though this morning was short, it was perfect. No. I don't even want to finish reading this. Can I just leave it on the screen and you guys could read this? Because this is on YouTube, right? So this isn't going on just the podcast. I can't even read this, you guys. It actually is making me uncomfortable. I know, baby. It was perfect, baby. So perfect. I love having sex with you. No. I know, baby. No, I can't. It's so passionate, so intimate, it's so perfect. I'm sorry, guys. I'm crashing out. When question court, okay, let's just move on. Let's just hide this. Let's move on. Just proof, okay? It was there. This isn't just like, this is the worst one. Besides the scream, all of them are worse, but this one, yeah, okay, anyways. When questioned, court documents show the students said he and Formella started texting a year and a half ago, and one time they FaceTime while Formella went out of state. Court documents also show that the investigation into Formella's phone records showed several mentions of the students in her notes app. When confronted about that material, Formella initially told police the writings were an outlet for her anxiety and said any reference to sex was specifically about her husband. She was charged with 2 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse and 1 count of criminal sexual abuse against a minor. At her initial court appearance, a judge denied prosecutors' motion to detain her. Formella was released with conditions including no contact with anyone under 18 and no entry to the school, at minimum. The message sent to parents and students by District 99 is below. Formella has been placed on a paid administrative leave. Again, if I committed a crime, I would be fired. I don't know. Must be nice. DGS students and family. Early this morning, we learned that DG teacher Christina Formella was arrested and detained by law enforcement yesterday afternoon. She was arraigned this morning and charged with aggravated criminal sexual abuse and assault with a minor. The minor is a current DGS student. Formella has been placed on administrative leave with pay. Formella has been teaching in our special service department since the 2020-2021 school year. She is a volunteer soccer coach starting in the fall of 2020 and has been the coaching staff for both girls and boys soccer since August 2021. We are cooperating with law enforcement to investigate the allegations. Additionally, we will contact families whose students have had direct contact with Formella. If you have any information related to these allegations, please contact me or a member of Administrative Council immediately. We are devastated and our community is reeling. An adult has been charged with the most serious of violations and trust has been broken. Our team here is to support students who are impacted by this terrible news. We encourage anyone who needs to share concerns about safety with us. You can do so anonymously at any time at Safe to Help Illinois by contacting your student's school council or by contacting me directly. Thank you, the principal. Now, I definitely think if you guys are interested in this story to go and look into it a little bit more, because it, like I said, just kind of threw me off. There's a lot more details, you guys, like the details. I don't want to go through it, but I'll actually link it below, the true crime video that I stumbled across that really brought all of this in. She goes really deep into the notes app and all these other things in their relationship. It was really, really fucked up. But yeah, I just wanted to be aware that this could happen. It's crazy because this only happened because of the cloud and because his mom was backing up information. So it's kind of crazy that these things can happen. Obviously, I don't know. I don't have kids. I have cats. I don't have to worry about them logging on and doing this stuff, but just bringing it to awareness, guys. I think my whole point of this last month is just being awareness that this does happen, and it happens more frequently now because of cell phones and the internet and social media, and there's not very many safeguards, and hopefully we're seeing more come in, but they're not quite there. So just making sure you're having open dialogue with your kids and stuff, and understanding who they're talking to, no matter if they're a young kid on Roblox or playing on a video game, to kids on social media being exploited because they sent a naked photo to a scammer, right? So just having these open conversations and being real with your families and your kids and your friends and sharing these conversations and experiences so people know it can happen, so we just can hopefully find the red flags a little bit more. But you guys, that is all I have for today. I think that's enough. I need to go wash my brain out and have a shower, a very warm shower, and discuss it and continue just having cats, because then teachers can't take a piece of them. But I really appreciate you guys being here and listening. If you made it this long, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.